Thanks for tuning in to Bourbon Drop. I'm your host, Myron. Today, I want to discuss becoming a bourbon snob. I do not in any way see myself as a bourbon snob. However, other people might. Because, look, there used to be a time in which I would give you a hard time for putting ice in your bourbon. Now I'm just kind of like, you know what, man, bourbon is best enjoyed the way that you like it. So I am not going to tell anyone how to enjoy their bourbon. You get on guys for putting Coke in their bourbon. My brother-in-law, I still could wring his neck for mixing, I think it was Pepsi with my Russell's 13 last Thanksgiving. But, you know, just enjoy bourbon how you like it. But at the same time, I've noticed that my palate has changed. Now, I do love higher proof stuff. There are some lower proof things that I like. I have put those on the channel. Matter of fact, I probably have some that I haven't put on the channel yet. Maybe by the time I drop this video, who knows? A lot of things get pushed back. But anyway, there's something in some bourbons that you notice the more you drink bourbon. So one of the bourbons when I first started was Knob Creek. Knob Creek 9-year was just one of my favorites. It was so rich, it was so viscous. It was like, the butterscotch notes, the brown sugar notes were just, I mean, like top notch, like just on a level up here. But that's because, you know, like I said, when I first came to bourbon, I was coming from vodka and cranberry juice. Vodka's 80 proof, you know, you mix it with cranberry juice, super sweet. Then my first bottle of bourbon ever was, you know, Booker's. Kicked me in the chest, kicked me in the throat. So I, you know, and it was expensive. So I didn't want to do that every time. But Knob Creek was one of those ones where like, oh my gosh, it's got the right amount of proof, the right amount of flavors. But lately, Knob Creek is just, I found it to be, I like it. I still like it. None of these bottles that I'm going to put on the table are bottles that I hate. But I like it. But I'm starting to know why maybe it's in that $35 category. Now, don't get me wrong. I still love budget bourbons, budget pours. One of my favorites is going to be on the channel tonight. But you start to be able to understand why some of these are bourbon, somewhat bourbon budget pours. And it's not this company's best product. So it doesn't mean, like I said, it doesn't mean that they're bad. And I find myself not reaching for these products as much as I used to. Knob Creek, excellent product. When I went out with the wife a couple months ago and we were at a bar and they had Knob Creek and I was like, give me a double of knob. And I was like, ooh, I was like, I missed that. Like it had that cherry, it had the butterscotch. I was like, wow, that is really nice. But having it home and having it around other great bottles, it just kind of, you know, it kind of fades to the background. You know, it's like I'm not reaching for it as much. I still like it. I still find myself going to it here and there, but it's like it just kind of falls to the background. You guys put in the comments what falls short about Knob Creek for you. And I'm going to ask you to do this about every bottle that I have, because some of these bottles you might love and some of these bottles might fall short for you. So next bottle up on my list, one of my other bourbon budget bangers. It is a killer. But lately, I've been finding this bottle a little thin. Now, shout out to my paper label boys. You guys know how I feel about the paper label. The new glass turkey, to me, comes across grainier. And it's not all about proof, because 100 proof, 101, you guys know I love my proof. But when it's a great 100 proof product, I can't get enough of it. But for whatever reason, those honey notes are there. The clove and cinnamon notes are still in the wild turkey, not as much as they used to be. I think I'm getting used to that. Like I said, you know, dealing with proof and dealing with richer bourbons, some of these come across the palate just a little thinner. I normally don't do warm-up pours. Every once in a while, if I know that I'm going to have like a super high proof bottle, I might try and do a warm-up pour to 101 just to kind of get the palate acclimated to taking in some heat. But lately I've been finding that it's very honey forward. I am still picking up that cinnamon and clove, not as much as I used to. Not as much spice as I used to pick up. I used to think this thing was a spicy animal, man. But now not so much, and I'm finding it to be slightly thinner. I still love it. I still think it is a budget banger, especially if you are just starting to get into those 100 proofers. I think this is an excellent pour. But for me, myself, maybe I'm becoming a bourbon snob because it just doesn't hit the same way it used to. All right, let's get into the next one. Now, I just bought this bottle recently, and I love this bottle. I do. I love this bottle. It just, I don't know. This is a bourbon budget banger as well. 25 bucks, man. Great flavors, char in the back, slight touch of citrus, caramel heavy. It's something about this bottle I just love. 100 proof, right at the proof. But I started to pick up the thinness of it. It's not the most viscous product. And like I said, maybe I'm becoming a bourbon snob because I'm looking for richness. I'm looking for viscosity. I'm looking for those deep, dark brown butterscotch and brown butter and just like that richness just to come across the palate and hit me a little bit of oakiness. It's just, so far, the 3 of the 4 that I have, I haven't been getting that from these lately on the table, man. And like I said, not that they are bad pours because I love each and every one of these bottles, but I am starting to see why these are budget pours and you have your more, I guess, premier pours out there. We'll say it that way. All right, so last bottle on the list. This is kind of, you know, they want to be a premier pour. There's nothing wrong with Nulu. I do like Nulu, but this bottle was 6 years old. 6 years old. Most Nulus are 6 years old. It comes in at 106.6 proof. For some reason, even at 6 years old, there's a little bit of a youthful, grainy note in there that I'm starting to pick out, and I'm kind of like, I don't necessarily like that much. Like, it's not as bad to me as the licorice pour. Like when I get a pour that is licorice heavy, I'm like, oh man, I just, that licorice note just does something to me and turns me off. When it's super heavy, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't stand it. This bottle is starting to get like a grainy note to it. And not just this bottle, because I've got several Nulus, and I'm starting, and I don't know if it's just my mind, maybe I need to do them blind, but I'm starting to get like this grainy note when it comes to Nulu that I'm just kind of like, I'm not loving. And Nulu is pretty expensive. This is not a budget pour at all. So it's like, I don't think I'll be going and spending that much more for Nulus until I start hearing something about a phenomenal bottle. So look, I want you guys to put in the comments which one of these bottles you're starting to fall out of love with, whether you still like these bottles, but you are starting to notice that your palate is changing. I love to have discussions like that in the comments. And with that being said, let the whiskey flow. Never run out unless you head it to a drop. Till next time.